Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. And you know, since I run a music foundation, I try to include some musical stories in my videos. And I think I have a really good one here today, which is when I met John Lennon in Howard Johnson in Times Square in 1977. You know, a lot of things have been written about John Lennon. Some people said he was rude in public. Some people say he was nice in public. I don't know about all that. All I know is when he met me, an 11-year-old kid in Howard Johnson, drinking a malted, a milkshake, he was very nice to me. So stay tuned for a cool video on John Lennon when I met him in Times Square. Hope you enjoy it. So there's been a lot written lately about John Lennon. Some people said he was bulimic, that he had a lot of, that he had an eating disorder. I mean, he was very much skinny most of his life, but his weight did fluctuate a lot during the Beatles. You could see some of the photos are different as they go along and back and forth. But essentially, John Lennon loved American ice cream. Now I'm going to put some things up over here. And apparently when he moved to New York in 1973 officially, he really started loving American ice cream even more, because apparently British ice cream only has like 5% of fat. Now I don't know what they're doing these days, but back in those days, British ice cream has only 5% of fat and American ice cream was 10%. Go figure, most of us are chubby here, right? So John Lennon loved American ice cream. So apparently eating ice cream was one of his things. And I could attest to this because in 1977, something amazing happened. So I know it was 1977 because usually on a Sunday, my father was off. My father and I would go for like a little adventure, which was great because it made me a really great dad. My parents were really good with me. I really appreciate them and miss them. But every Sunday, my dad and I would go out because my mom and I would bowl and stuff during the week. But Sunday, my dad and I would go out for like a father and son adventure. So one day, we went to see this Broadway play called Beatlemania, which a lot of you remember. Now, I couldn't remember what year I'd met John Lennon, but in thinking back of the story, I had remembered oddly enough that we had just seen Beatlemania. So I researched Beatlemania when it came out. So it was 1977. And when I met John Lennon, he was wearing like not a heavy winter coat, but it was around October. It was getting a little chilly. So after Beatlemania, my father and I decided, now we loved Howard Johnson's. It used to be, there's only one of them left up in Lake George, but it was hotels. They had the best ice cream. It was a nice food place to go into. So there was one right in Times Square, and I'll put this up right here. So this was the Times Square Howard Johnson's. It's long gone right now. Now it's an American Eagle. So I'll put both the pictures up for you to see. And to show you what it looked like, Times Square was a whole different world back then. You wouldn't even want to go there with a 10-foot pole. If you want to see what it looked like, watch the movie Taxi Driver. It's not Disney-fied anywhere near back then. Now you can kind of walk around there. Back then, it was just crazy. If you wanted to buy a watch, you wanted to get a stolen God knows what, you wanted to get a fake ID, that was the place to go. If our parents knew we went to Times Square, we'd be grounded for weeks. So anyway, we went to Times Square, and me being the chubby little American kid that I always was at 11, said to my dad, you know, Dad, can we go to Howard Johnson and get a malted or a milkshake? You know, milkshake, malted. Malted just has the malt in it. So I believe it was a shake that we got. And so we went over to Howard Johnson in Times Square, and I went in the line, and my father gave me the money, and I ordered the vanilla milkshake. And as soon as I stepped back with the milkshake, you know, right away I'm drinking it. As soon as I step back with the milkshake, I hear somebody with a British accent say, I'll have the same thing the kid is having. So I looked over, and who did I see? Was John Lennon wearing, you know, typically what he would wear around New York, which was, you know, kind of a little hat and kind of like a leather jacket kind of thing. And he was just standing there by himself. There was no Yoko. He didn't have, you know, Julian was born, but Julian, I guess, was in England with Cynthia and stuff. And Sean Lennon wasn't born yet. This was 1977. And I just looked, and I was like, holy cow, this is John Lennon. So I turned to my dad and I say, and John Lennon is there, I say, Dad, John Lennon likes the same thing that I like. And my father goes, are you sure that's him? So I look over at John Lennon and I say, yeah, that's him, absolutely. Now, I mean, obviously it was John Lennon, but one of the reasons I had known it was John Lennon was because I still am a big Elton John fan. And not to go into a big story with Elton John and John Lennon, but Elton John and John Lennon were very good friends. Everyone knows Elton John's song, Empty Garden. And but the quick story was that for a while, John Lennon was separated from Yoko Ono. And it was during that time that Elton John and John Lennon became friends. And in fact, when John Lennon and Yoko Ono got back together again, They actually got back together again the night that Elton John played with, that John Lennon came on stage with Elton John in 1974 at Madison Square Garden, because Elton John had done a song with John Lennon. It was John Lennon's song, and Elton John sang backup on it. And he told John Lennon, it was called Whatever Gets You Through the Night, that if this song ever gets to #1, you have to come back on stage with me, because John Lennon hadn't done a concert in maybe 5 years, hadn't been on stage. And Elton John was kind of at the pinnacle of his career at that point, 74, 75. But so it was that night in Madison Square Garden that John and Yoko got together again after a long hiatus. So me being an Elton John fan, I knew that this was John Lennon. And me not knowing what to say, I turned over to John Lennon after my father said, "He's sure it's him?" And I knew it was him. I just said, "Hey, have you talked to Elton John lately?" So he gave me like a little smile, and he said, "Yeah, I rang him up a couple weeks ago. He's doing great." So with that, he walked off, and he shook my hand, gave me like a smile, looked at my dad, smiled at my dad, and he went away. I mean, I was just in shock. I mean, obviously to this day, I wish I would have thought to take his autograph or something like that, but I was just kind of in awe of being there, John Lennon, because, you know, John Lennon, the Beatles, I mean, that's like, you know, it's like being there, Elvis. I mean, this was just incredible. And the fact that he was a living legend, and, you know, at the time, I mean, and still, I think John Lennon was probably my favorite Beatle. It would come between either John or George. And I think as I get older, I'm a little more leaning toward George, with the, you know, he was always into the spiritual stuff. But I know certainly John Lennon, to me, wrote the Beatles songs that I wanted to hear. He appealed more to the intellectuals, I guess, and I don't know if I'm an intellectual, but I seem to always like his songs. They were a little more serious, and I guess maybe I like the fact that he hung out with Elton John. I don't know. But it was just an amazing experience, and I just thought that you'd really want to hear about that, because we do run the Music Foundation for my son. We lost my son in 2019, and we run the Waffles Foundation. And we do, you know, we donate instruments and guitars. We're a 501c3. But, you know, John Lennon, it was just really iconic to have met him. And, you know, and the fact that he lived in Manhattan, and the fact that he really embraced New York and really embraced America, especially New York. And he, you know, he had said oftentimes that he was able to, you know, once the whole Beatlemania thing kind of ended, not meeting the Broadway show, but meeting his own thing, was that it really calmed down for him. I mean, if you guys out there have never been to Brooklyn or never been to New York, you know, New Yorkers are a different kind of breed. I mean, we're very different. I mean, we honor our stars, and we kind of like the fact that so many stars live there, but they don't really get mobbed the same way. They don't really kind of, you know, have that kind of thing that you might get in some other places. So John Lennon often said that he could go anywhere he wanted without really being bothered. I mean, every so often somebody would recognize him. And as the more time went on from the time he left the Beatles, the more that came to be. And sadly, unfortunately, maybe that would have been good if he would have been bothered a little more, because maybe in that horrible day in December 8th, 1980, he might have had some bodyguards with him, or maybe things would have been done differently. I don't know. But we can't go back. We can't change it. But all I could say is, like I was telling you, is that I have a very great memory of John Lennon. And I don't know, people say different things, but I know for me, for me being a kid, for him dealing with me, it couldn't have been better. He was nice. He was polite. He smiled. I mean, it was just, he had no airs about him. He had no bodyguards with him. He had no, you know, nothing. It was just John Lennon. And I think that was always one of the things about the Beatles that people liked. You know, no matter how much money they got or whatever, they always seemed to be those same working class guys that they started out to be. And I just thought it was a great story. So hey everyone, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and if you have any ideas for videos, just let me know. And hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, it was great meeting John Lennon. I wish I had something better to say to him than what I did, but you never know. So we also run a non-for-profit music foundation called the Waffles Foundation. If you have any musical instruments you want to donate, we're a 501c3, and we'd love to hear from you. My email is wafflesfoundation@gmail.com. Or you could find us on the web at www.wafflesfoundation.org. So until now, this is Al signing off, and let's imagine peace in the world and goodness, and all the best. Thanks for subscribing. Please do if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Al signing off. See you real soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.